Ladies and gents, from Ruchiji Reaction, and this is What If We Nuke a City by the channel Kurzgesagt in a nutshell. Yes, another nuke video from Kurzgesagt. These are always awesome. I think we already have the answer. What if we nuke a city? You know, Nagasaki. You know, we bombed that. What's the other city's name? How the hell did I forgot? Hiroshima. So yeah, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Two cities US already bombed in Japan. But yeah, what if we nuke a city? Let's just say it is one of the worst thing you can be a part of. You know, basically when you drop a bomb, small area around that bomb will be completely atomized. At the atomic level, everything will be vaporized. There will be nothing left, and then the shock wave will do the most of the damage. And the heat will do lots of damage. People will just burn up. It's just effed up all around. Yeah. Fear of nukes are the real fear, you know, real massive fears. There's a games created by that, Fallout, one of the most famous games of all time. What if everybody nukes everyone and what happens afterwards? Yeah, let's watch this one. I wrote quite a few Kurzgesagt videos already. If you haven't seen them, check out the cards as a playlist. I created for it, Kurzgesagt reaction, something like that. Real life lore reaction playlist is there too. CGP Grey, Tierzu, Internet Historian. So yeah, let's watch this one.
Playing around with nuclear weapons in videos is fun. There's a visceral joy in blowing things up and a horrifying fascination with things like fireballs, shockwaves and radiation. And while it does help put our destructive power in perspective, it's not the best way of understanding the real impact of a nuclear explosion. This isn't about silly stacks of TNT or about how bright an explosion is. Nuclear weapons are about you. So we've partnered with the Red Cross and Red Crescent movement to explore what would really happen if a nuclear weapon were detonated in a major city today. Not nuclear war, just one explosion.
Yeah, first of all, I've seen the videos of atomic bombs that were dropped on Japan. Those were terrifying, but then I also saw something like Castle Bravo and Tsar Bomba, the thermonuclear bombs, the big ones, even the bigger. And people think the atom bombs are already so devastating to us. Doesn't matter even if you explode a bigger thermonuclear bomb, they will all look the same. But no, atom bombs looks terrifying, but then there's a thermonuclear bomb which has cloud, mushroom cloud that goes extremely high up, and there's this eerie sound that comes from it, and everything around it brightens up, gets a bit of red, and it's just horrifying. So USA dropped atomic bombs on Japan. Thermonuclear bombs are just ridiculously powerful. So dropping a nuke in any city, that's the most scary thing. The first bomb now gets dropped anywhere, that would cause a chain reaction that will eventually, some people that would have never dropped a bomb on anyone would have gotten a license to drop now because somebody already did again. So anybody drops a bomb now will start this chain reaction. The people will start to drop bombs like it's nothing. If anything, everybody will just, out of retaliation would drop bombs and half the world would get destroyed. So that's real fear right there. I like to think chances are low.
We begin our story in the middle of downtown in a major city. People are going to work, studying for exams, are lost in their thoughts and daily lives.
Oh, no,
right here, a nuclear weapon is detonated and time freezes. The first phase of the explosion happens within less than a second. In a millisecond, a ball of plasma hotter than the sun appears and grows in a fireball to more than 2 kilometers across. Within this ball, everyone is just gone. Think of water dripped onto a very hot pan.
Yeah,
a sizzle, and then there's nothing. Most buildings, cars, trees, tacky sculptures, and people, all evaporated. First, the flash, an intense tsunami of light, washes over the city in an instant. If you happen to...
Yeah, if this is a thermonuclear bomb he's talking about, then that big ball of 2 kilometer wide big ball that atomizes everything, basically that's a small sun. Very small scale sun that was created. So if you throw something in the sun, it will, just get vaporized, atomized. That's what would happen. Everything, buildings, nothing, no debris will be left because everything got atomized.
Have your head pointed in the direction of the explosion, it renders you blind for a few hours. The heat of this light produces a thermal pulse, so energetic and hot that it just burns everything as far as 13 kilometers from the detonation site. What this means is that everything in an area of 500 square kilometers that is able to burn starts burning. Plastic, wood, fabric, hair and skin. If you happen to be in reach of the thermal pulse, one moment you're on your way to work, the next moment you're on fire. Now the second phase begins. It happens in a few seconds. Most people will now first notice that something is wrong, but it's already too late for hundreds of thousands. The flash is followed by the shockwave. The heat and radiation of the fireball create a bubble of superheated and supercompressed air around it that's now expanding explosively, faster than the speed of sound, creating winds stronger than hurricanes and tornadoes. Human infrastructure is no match for its power. Most major buildings within a kilometer of the fireball are just ground up down to their base. Only steel-reinforced concrete is able to partially resist the pressure. In the surrounding parks where retirees feed the ducks, trees blackened and smouldering from the heat a second before snap like toothpicks. If you're outside, you get tossed away like a grain of dust in a tornado. The shock wave weakens as it travels outwards, but still, about 175 square kilometers of houses collapse like they're made of cards, trapping tens of thousands of people who didn't have any time to react. Gas stations explode.
People survived? How's that possible?
And fires spread throughout the rubble. A mushroom cloud made from the remains of the fireball, dust and ash rises kilometers into the sky in the next...
Yeah, there'll be some people that would survive from that. God damn. Oh god, that is so terrifying. I'm not gonna lie. This is one of the biggest... This fear of nukes is, you know, so real because everybody has these nukes. And when you have fear of, I don't know, some things like asteroid hitting us, I mean, what are the chances of that? There's always thinking that. You know, all the different type of fear, like, you know, gamma ray burst because of some sort of massive supernova happen. That's a big in the distance. Super volcano exploding. Yeah, but probably not going to happen for many thousands of years. Nukes people already have right now. Press of a button, one directive, and that's it. This is so effed up, I'm not going to lie. This is one of the biggest fear anyone can have realistically.
Next few minutes and casts a dark shadow over the ruined city. This violently pulls in fresh air surrounding the city, destroying more buildings and providing an abundance of oxygen. It depends on the city what happens next. If there's enough fuel, fires may turn into a firestorm that burns the rubble, everybody trapped in it, and people trying to flee the devastation. Up to 21 kilometers from the explosion, people just like...
Whoa, I never even thought of that. Yeah, air comes back and pulls inside. So now everything with the fire gets pulled inside the mushroom cloud. So, you know, now the fire is gonna sweep through. Oh, there are more waves of destruction. Damn.
You rush to their windows to take pictures of the mushroom cloud, unaware that the shockwave is still coming at them, about to shatter their windows and create a blizzard of sharp glass.
Ooh, look at that. I'm probably gonna be dead. Lots of people are dead. Let's put it on Instagram. People would do that. I'm not gonna lie. That's what happened in, I think, Russia, Chelyabinsk. What is that place called? Where that, you know, asteroid went down and exploded for lots of kilometers, you know, up. But that is same power as, you know, I think, same or bit more power than the bombs that were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So, you know, that created a wave. So everybody just went outside. What was the bright light? And just then the wave came. And the windows exploded and people got hurt. Lots of people got hurt. Eyes, glasses in the eyes, skin. That was just effed up. There are videos of that. So when you see the video where the, you know, that suddenly that asteroid explodes and it becomes a bright light. In just few seconds after that, the, you know, the wave is coming, and after that everybody gets hurt. It's weird to see that you have live footage of that. You can just time it like, oh, now everybody got hurt. That's just heavy.
Third phase begins in the coming hours and days. We're used to the idea that help will come no matter the disaster.
Look at that.
This time is different. A nuclear explosion is
People
like
survived.
every natural disaster at once. There are hundreds of thousands or millions of people with serious injuries, lacerations, broken bones, serious burns.
How is this possible? How could people survive after all the shockwave that destroyed all the mega structure of buildings, skyscrapers and things? The heat wave came through and burned everything around, and yet people still survived. How is that possible?
In the next few minutes and hours, thousands more will die because of these injuries.
Oh god.
Countless people are trapped in collapsed buildings like in earthquakes, or blinded by the flash, deaf from the blast wave, and unable to flee through streets impassable with rubble and debris. They're terrified, confused, and don't know what's happened to them or why. Most likely, many hospitals have been leveled.
Who here played that game, Call of Duty Modern Warfare? There's a mission in there. There's a part of the mission where we are on the helicopter and a nuke explodes. We go down with the helicopter and the last moment of the missions are that we are dying because this nuke exploded. You see, the person that we are playing at first person view, so we are dying slowly. You could see mushroom cloud in the distance. Everything was just, environment was glowing because it was so hot. Oh god. That is, at the time that was the closest thing you could feel what it is to be near a nuclear bomb, because I don't think there was at the time. The game is so old, in YouTube there was no more animated videos like this. So at the time when anybody played the game, that's the closest they came to understanding what it feel like to be close to a nuke. That's why the game was so awesome. Since that, there is no good game like that. Call of Duty Modern Warfare was that good. Then all this online gaming and microtransaction shit happened. But that was so good. This is just like that. People are still survive just to die slowly. That's just effed up, man.
Along with all the other buildings, and most medical professionals are either dead or injured along with everyone else. The survivors lucky enough to have been in metro tunnels or standing in the right place to be unburned and unhurt won't have truly escaped harm yet. Depending on the type of weapon, where it explodes, and even the weather, an awful black rain can begin, with radioactive ash and dust descending on the city, covering everything and everyone. The invisible, malicious, silent horror of radiation takes its turn. Every breath carries poison to the lungs of the survivors. Over the coming days, the people who receive the highest doses of radiation exposure will die. There will be no help, not for hours or maybe even days. Civilization doesn't operate when there is a total breakdown of infrastructure. Roads are blocked, train tracks warped, runways cluttered with rubble.
That is true. Our infrastructure is extremely weak when you think about it, because any kind of events like this happens, earthquake, tsunami, flooding, or even the nuke like this, any event happens and some infrastructure breaks here and then, that's just cut off the entire chain of emergency vehicles. I mean, when you think about it, that is really weak.
No water, no electricity, no communication, no stores to replenish supplies from. Help from surrounding cities will have a hard time entering the disaster zone, and even if they can, the radioactive contamination will make it risky to get too close.
Yeah.
After a nuclear attack, you're on your own.
Oh god, look at that. A kid with a teddy bear's waving hand. Why you have to draw that, man? Why you have to draw a kid doing that? We understand that kids in the city, but you don't have to tell us that. This is just after. This makes it way more heavy.
Bit by bit, people emerge from the rubble, on foot, contaminated with radioactive fallout, carrying what little...
A guy walking with, his kid, there he has, the kid has also a teddy bear.
They may have left. They are slow, in pain, traumatized, and they all need food, water, and medical treatment fast. And the damage done by a nuclear weapon doesn't end when the fires burn out and the smoke clears. The hospitals in the neighboring cities are under-equipped for a disaster of this scale and overwhelmed with tens or hundreds of thousands of patients with serious injuries. In the weeks, months, and years to come, many of those who survived will succumb to cancers like leukemia. The reason no government wants you to think about all this is because there is no serious humanitarian response possible to a nuclear explosion. There's no way to really help the immediate victims of a nuclear attack. This is not a hurricane, wildfire, or earthquake, or nuclear accident. It is all of these things at once, but worse. No nation on Earth is prepared to deal with it. The world has changed in the past few years, with world leaders again
nukes are basically hold my beer response from humans. Nature has tornadoes, hurricanes, tsunamis, massive earthquakes. So, humans like, what, hold my beer. Here's a even, more effed up thing, nukes. Because damn, for the 13-kilometer wide area where the nuke fell, people suffers third-degree burns and everything gets burned up. That is so effed up, man.
explicitly and publicly threatening each other with nuclear weapons. Many experts think the danger of a nuclear strike is higher than it has been in decades.
What?
Governments tell their citizens that it's good that we have nuclear weapons, but it's bad when anyone else gets them. That it's
Okay.
somehow necessary to threaten others with mass destruction to keep us
We are very peaceful. We need nuclear bombs to keep everybody in check. But everybody can't have bombs. Nobody needs bomb, man.
safe. But does this make you feel safe? It only takes a small group of people with power to go crazy or rogue, a small misstep or a simple misunderstanding to unleash a catastrophe of unimaginable proportions. Exploding stuff in videos is fun. Exploding things in real life, not so much. There is a solution though. Eliminating all nuclear weapons and vowing never to build them again.
I like that. I'm gonna be honest. That is never going to happen. Everybody will just destroy the nukes and just, hold hands and sing Kumbaya. That is never going to happen. When nuclear bombs were created, that's the door that opened that can never be closed ever again, regardless of what. If every country in the world decides to, destroy nukes, there will be a country like, I don't know, North Korea or something, they would say, yeah, I'm going to keep my bombs. You can't make everybody agree. You can't do that. And, if North Korea can have, nuclear bombs, then, threshold is not high. Any good enough country can develop a bomb if they want.
In 2017, almost two-thirds of all the world's countries, supported by hundreds of civil society organizations and the International Red Cross and Red Crescent movement, agreed to prohibit and eliminate nuclear weapons. It's not about who has nuclear weapons and who doesn't. The weapons themselves are the problem. They are deeply immoral and an existential threat to all of us. No matter what country you come from, no matter what political side you find yourself on, we need to demand that they disappear forever. This will not happen without pressure. If you want to be part of this pressure, there are things you personally can do too. Visit notonukes.org to learn more about nuclear weapons and what you can do about them.
What is this? Yeah, man. I'm one of those guys who always thinks that, what? I'm more of a realist. And nukes are the reason, everybody just thinks that, we are so good. We are so intellectually, at the highest level right now. So that past century, we had no war. We have no wars. After World War II, there is no big wars because we are so good. We are living in advanced. No, that's all bullshit. We have no wars because everybody has nukes. Nukes are the reason nobody's even thinking of war. Alright? Before nukes, everybody was waging war because anybody who's in somewhat power see things on a spreadsheet. Like, if I wage a war, even if I lose, how much am I going to lose? If I win, how much am I going to gain, and what's the incentive there? And who should I wage a war against? Obviously, I'm not going to wage a war against somebody who's equal to me. I'm going to wage a war against somebody who's below me. So even if somebody else gets involved, maybe I'll back down, maybe I'll sign a treaty and everything will be fine. It was always, profit and loss and spreadsheet. Since there are nukes, nobody's going to even think about that because maybe a nuclear bomb can just come and just fuck everything up. So nukes are a reason why there are even not small wars here and there between some countries. I mean, Russia basically annexed Crimea, even with the nukes being there. That's just Russia. There are lots of countries in the world who have a bit of power start to become aggressors, taking neighbor countries here and there. And if pressure increases, just sign a treaty, everything will be fine. I mean, nobody wants war. So maybe USA and other countries, UK, France, Europe, all of them get involved and pressure increases, I'll just sign a treaty. People just think that. So, if we get rid of all the bombs, all the nukes, there will be small wars here and there. There will be countries where there are actual wars. The time of no major war will end because it's all in the spreadsheet in the end. If you are big enough, you can survive that even if you lose. People will think that. Nukes is the only reason people are not doing that. But in the end, what I think is, what we just saw in this video, nukes are so terrifying. That that is above our human comprehension. We can't process all this, just the devastation. In this animation, he draw all those kids that just walking around, hurt, dying slowly because of all the radiation with the teddy bear in their hands. That hit me, even though it was just animation. But if you drop a nuke, that's actually going to happen. It's so effed up.
What would happen if we were to detonate a very, very powerful nuclear weapon on the moon? Would the explosion knock its orbit towards Earth, causing tidal waves and misery? Could the moon be destroyed, showering the Earth in a rain of meteoric death?
In order to destroy the moon, you would need immense level of powerful nukes. I don't think all the nukes that we have, all the thousands and thousands combining of all the nukes, even if we throw them at it, I don't think even that is enough to destroy the moon completely.
During the Cold War, the moon was a major target for space exploration and, military bases. So, the US Air Force commissioned a serious study into the effects of a nuclear detonation on the surface of the moon. But just quoting stuff is boring, so let's conduct a very important scientific experiment with an imaginary 100 megaton thermonuclear warhead about twice as powerful as the most powerful bomb ever detonated. We'll also place a number of curious astronauts around the moon as observers. Let's push the button and slow down time. For the first few milliseconds, nothing much happens outside our weapon. Meanwhile, inside, high explosives send a shockwave to a radioactive metal core, compressing it so much that it reaches criticality and starts a nuclear fission chain reaction. The 100 million degree plasma created in this first stage sets off the second stage with atomic nuclei fusing like they do in the core of a star.
He's talking about hydrogen bomb there. So it's a big bomb, not some fission bomb that was dropped on Japan. So there is a small fission bomb inside this fusion bomb that is going to feed the fusion bomb. So basically a hydrogen bomb needs a fission bomb inside, like plutonium bomb or something like that. So that creates the heat, and the heat eventually starts the nuclear fusion process, which is just titanic. Like nuclear fission bombs are nothing compared to the gigantic hydrogen bombs.
Very briefly, our weapon contains one of the hottest places in the universe. And only now, barely 10 milliseconds later, does the rest of the universe find out that anything has happened, as suddenly the bomb dissolves and a flaming star of nuclear death is born. So far, so good. But everything that happens now is very different from what we're used to on Earth because of one major difference. There's no atmosphere.
Yeah, no shockwave.
As the fireball shines, it releases a flash of X-rays and thermal photons, a wave of silent heat which rushes outwards in all directions. On Earth, this heat would char and burn everything within a 50-kilometer radius at least. But on the Moon, without an atmosphere and oxygen-rich air, there's no burning at all. Also, there are no things to burn. The crunchy topsoil of the Moon is made from silicate rock and metals chewed to dust by eons of meteorite impacts mixed with tiny traces of water. When heated by the explosion, X-rays from the fireball vaporize a thin cloud of rock from the lunar surface, while the unlucky dust that's inside the fireball melts into glass. Any astronauts watching the show within about 50 kilometers can expect to be fried. And now we begin to see one of the biggest differences between explosions in space and on Earth. On Earth, the atmosphere fights back against the plasma bubble. Its expansion is violently stopped within moments by the pressure of the atmosphere. But this is not good news. As the fireball rams the atmosphere, it produces the most destructive part of a nuclear explosion on Earth, the shockwave. Compressed air around the explosion rushes out faster than the speed of sound, shattering buildings and roaring so loud.
Shockwave does the most damage, I think. I mean, obviously radiation is there too, but immediate impact damage that we see, most of them come from shockwaves.
It ruptures organs. But on the Moon, there is no shockwave. No atmosphere means nothing to impede the expanding explosion in space. On the Moon, the fireball just grows in eerie silence as there's no atmosphere to stop it or to give it a voice. This would be an amazing thing to watch from a safe distance.
Radiation.
Unfortunately, there's hardly any safe viewing distance for a nuclear explosion on the Moon. Without an atmosphere weakening the deadly ionizing radiation that can scramble DNA, anyone close enough to get a good look will be exposed to fatal amounts of radiation. But of course, that's not all.
I mean, that's relative, isn't it? First of all, if you're in space, sun's radiation is already way too dangerous in the first place, so you would have some kind of a ship that protects you from the radiation. If that's the case, I don't think nuke's radiation is going to be too destructive for that. I think ship can take it. If you are in specific suit and spacewalking outside of your ship, and then this thing happens, I guess some of the radiation might be overwhelming for the suit, because suits are just barely protecting you against the sun. So I don't know, maybe against the suit it might be dangerous, but I don't think inside some kind of a shuttle or something you will be fine.
Cool. While all of this happens, the explosion hammers against the moon, transferring about 1/10 of the explosion energy into seismic waves, powering an intense moonquake. The moon is much smaller than the Earth, and our astronauts will feel an inescapable violent shaking no matter where they're standing. Comparable to an earthquake of 7 on the Richter scale, this shaking could seriously damage or even level infrastructure we might have built anywhere on the moon. Those who hid on the far side of the moon would have no idea it was an explosion. The quaking would feel like
Again, if we build something on the moon, I would like to think we build it much sturdier. So, Richter scale of 7, I don't think we're gonna build anything that's the Richter scale of 7 could level. I mean, there would be destruction, but not the level. It wouldn't level things up.
an asteroid the size of the Great Pyramid had struck. And it's not over yet. Where our bomb explodes, the ground splatters like water when a rock strikes a pond. As the explosion pushes against the surface, it may excavate as much as 100 million cubic meters of dust and rock, forming a crater 8 kilometers across, while bedrock is pulverized to rubble. Debris is shot into the sky in every direction. Again,
yeah, this is a small bomb relative to what I was thinking of. So I don't think this would have big chunks of rock coming towards the Earth. And whatever good enough sized rocks would come, I think Earth's atmosphere would cross most of it, and it won't be a threat, I think.
Without an atmosphere, there's no drag to slow any of it down. Much of the debris scattered never returns to the moon, flying off faster than escape velocity. A flurry of micrometeorites have been cast off to explore the solar system, many of which will rain down on the Earth, though few will be larger than pebbles. Any satellite, astronaut or space station in the way, though, will have a really bad time. Micrometeorites are launched at many speeds and angles, allowing them to spread all over the surface of the moon. Like bullets, they'll punch through our curious astronauts no matter where they stand. Finally, our explosion comes to an end. On Earth, the fireball rises like a hot air balloon, forming a sort of stalk.
Yeah.
As it reaches up, cooler air is drawn in around it, rounding the top into a mushroom cloud. But on the moon, well, you know by now, no atmosphere, no mushroom. The larger the plasma gets, the cooler it becomes, and the less energy it has to make interesting or terrifying things happen. Within seconds of pulling the trigger, the bubble reddens and fades from view. It would be visible from the Earth like a star flickering to life, only to fade out right away. A spark and then nothing. As the cloud of tiny debris reaches far above the surface of the moon, it's illuminated by the sun for a few minutes, giving it an eerie beauty for anyone left to observe the spectacle. What about the moon's orbit? It's basically unchanged.
Yeah, it's
Trying
scant.
to move the moon with a nuke is like trying to move a truck by blowing on it. Nuclear explosions may be big, but space is bigger. Our mighty explosion just leaves another
Yeah, I mean, you can't affect the moon if it is just one bomb. Like I said, if all the bombs in the world, if we throw it at the moon, maybe we'll see some difference. But then again, large chunks of the rocks would, just come out and hit us. That's why people say the space force. And people are afraid of, there's going to be battle on the space. Nah, man, space is not. Our intuition is surrounded around the, all things that happen on the Earth with the environment. When it comes to space, things change. So, even a simple bolt, if it gets loose and it's, orbiting around the Earth, it could be like a bullet, piercing lots of satellites and could cause a chain reaction. So anything you want to destroy, destroying is not the point. Even if the asteroid is coming, you want to deflect it, because massive chunk of those rocks could get in massive chunks of rocks could just come at the earth and cause massive issues. So if you really want to hurt the moon and want to destroy lots of chunks of it, all those chunks are going to land on the earth, and that's it. It's a like dinosaur level event. So why would you want to destroy the moon? I mean, yeah, obviously astrophysics and astronomers would want to do that, since I'll learn that their biggest enemy is the moon. Because of the moon and full moon, they can't observe the space. So maybe they want to do it, I guess.
Crater, one among millions. Still, anyone on the moon will continue to not enjoy themselves. The material that ends up raining back to the moon is radioactive, and without any natural processes to wash it away or bury it, the surface of the moon will remain contaminated. Although fortunately the worst of the radiation will have decayed to a level comparable to natural levels from cosmic rays in about a year. In conclusion, we can say with confidence that while the moon itself does not care about being nuked, and will barely notice, using the moon as a nuclear test ground kind of ruins it for everyone trying to spend some time there or to build something useful. So maybe we should just not do that.
Nuking the moon was big thing when we didn't test the nukes on the earth, when everybody was afraid that nukes going to ignite the atmosphere of earth and it's going to create a reaction that nobody would be able to stop it. Then it was more appealing, like let's test it on the moon. Now we kind of mastered how the nukes work. So even if somebody wants to make a bigger nuke, they don't need to test it in a way to know it will probably work. So testing on the moon is unnecessary, I think. And anyway, if you want to spend something on something on the moon, you want to put it on some kind of a rocket. Not some intercontinental ballistic missiles, but a giant rocket like of space rockets. So if you put it on there and if it explodes, there's a massive issue, because it will spread all around the world. Intercontinental ballistic missiles are kind of small, they're contained, and chance of it going wrong is really low compared to the space rockets. So there's always danger there. That is the reason why all the nuclear waste people say, let's just throw it on in the space. Throw it in the sun. There is no space to store it here. But if you put it on the rocket and try to launch it in the space and it fails, there's nuclear radiation everywhere.
This was our last video of the year 12,020, and oh dear, what an interesting and weird year it's been in all the worst ways. But it's finally over. We want to end it by saying thank you. We get to do this channel and work on many exciting things because of you burbs. This year, our German channel reached 1 million subscribers, we launched our Spanish one, and released our first app. If everything goes well, we can finally start our largest new project to date next year, but we know better than to promise too much. All of this works because you support us directly. Thank you so much. We genuinely appreciate it. If you want to help us out too and get something cool in return,
yeah. So that's all for the video. It was an interesting video, but yeah, I kind of knew that, obviously. It's hard to find space videos that surprises me. I really want to react to some complicated topics. This is kind of intuitive, I guess, that if you put one nuke, that's not going to do anything. I knew that kind of. But yeah, radiation would be dangerous, but I don't think, like I said, if there is a space shuttle there, it's already equipped with handling the sun's radiation. So I think nukes radiation might be overwhelming, but I think it'll be fine. So yeah, alright people, if you like my reaction, don't forget to like and subscribe, and check out other reaction I did. There's a link in the description with all of my videos, and yeah, I guess I'll see you next time.